Hey guys, ready for my next video I'm posting of an interview I did with Jugal Hansraj, who was in a really awesome movie I like called Mohabbatein. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. But in the meantime, here is my interview with Jugal Hansraj. Enjoy.
My first reaction was no, I don't want to act because my friends in school will laugh at me. Never actually set out to be an actor. It's happened on its own. I think I started way back when I was 2 years old. My first modeling assignment. A friend of dad was working with the Slow ad agency, and he was a photographer. And he kind of asked dad if he can use me for a commercial. And then I did lots of commercials after that. And then Shaker Kapoor, who directed my first film as a kid, Masoom. And I was 8 or 9 years old. He saw a commercial of mine on television and came and spoke to my parents about this movie. And pretty long association. That was Shaker Kapoor's first film as well. Now he's making films in Hollywood as well, in the UK and Hollywood. But a pretty interesting story because when he came home, my first reaction was no, I don't want to act because my friends in school laugh at me. So he was pretty convinced that he wanted me in the movie, so he used to come home every day and play cricket with me and like talk to me and take me for movies, and he became my best friend. And then obviously he was my best friend, so I couldn't say no. I had a great time because I was just 8 or 9 years old. I was really pampered. I was a very spoiled kid. And I would suddenly announce pack up when I didn't feel like shooting because I didn't know any better, And Shaker Kapoor actually allowed me to behave that way because there were 3 children, and he handled the 3 of us so well because he was, kids don't really appreciate that you're working with great actors like Nasiruddin Shah, or it's written by Gulzar, and he kind of gave us that rope to behave, to be kids. And since we were so fond of him, and he let us do what he wanted, because there's a night scene on the road or something. So I would say, yeah, sure. And I would wake up, and my mom used to wonder, I can't get this guy to wake up in the morning at 11. He was waking up at 11 in the night. And, so it was just I had a great time. I think one of my best experiences. I did about 4 or 5 movies other than that as a child. Then I gave up acting because I was studying, and I got into college. I had this at the back of my mind, maybe after college I would become an actor, but I wasn't too sure, and it's not a very stable profession to be in, as in, everything depends on the box office fate of your film. But as it happened as a child, offers started coming in on their own. There were filmmakers who had heard this kid from Masoom had grown up and was now 18 or 19, so they were all curious to know how I look like and how I would be as an adult actor. And so therefore I signed up for a film, and that's how the kind of journey continued. Well, most proud of obviously the film, my first film as a kid, and more recently I'm proud of the work I did in Mohabbatein, which I really enjoyed doing. I liked watching myself on screen in that particular movie, so it was good. I think first of all, what's inherent in our movies are they're mostly musicals, they have a lot of color, so it's best if they see our kind of movies rather than see movies that are closer to them, because I think India has its own unique kind of way of making movies, so it's always more interesting for an outsider to see a typical Indian film rather than a more art house kind of film which is closer to their cinema. So there's so many movies out, like LAGAAN already created quite a few waves in the US and all over the world. That's definitely a recommended film. I would recommend DEVDAS. It was very lavishly kind of mounted with all color and music possible, and a great story. I would recommend DILWALE, DULHANIA, which came out in '95, which is still running in a theater 11 years later. So I would recommend that movie. There are lots of nice movies. I would recommend SATYA, which is a very crime-based gangster movie in Bombay. A very well-made film. These are the few movies that have come to my mind right now that I think people should definitely watch. perception of the Hindi film industry is mostly of songs and dances. That's how they see our movies, as big, lavish musicals with lots of color. And that, I think, is the way they look at our movies, as in not realistic, but very kind of melodramatic, which also for them is something new, it's an interesting way of looking at movies, you know? Telling a story through song and dance. I mean, I basically am not a formally trained actor, so whatever I've learned is by watching lots of actors, and especially some of them, like Mr. Dilip Kumar is a really veteran. I think he started in the 40s, but I think there's no actor greater than him. See the range of roles he's done, and Mr. AMITABH, of course. He's till today he's the biggest star ever since he came in, and he's like, I luckily had the good fortune of working with him and seeing why he is what he is. When you see these people actually putting in the work and enthusiasm that they do behind, like for rehearsals and for, that's when you realize that they're not them just not just talent, it's a lot of hard work that they put in. And that was a great learning experience. And just watching him on screen, he's an inspiration to, I think, lots of actors. Another of my favorite actors is RISHI, I don't think a lot of people really, he's been underrated, I feel, but he was the one actor. What I learned from him was he never looked like he was acting or doing a scene. He actually just spoke it as the character would, and it was a very natural kind of way of doing things. There was no like speaking dialogue or reacting. He was a very matter-of-fact, natural kind of style of acting, which I like. Western actors also, a lot of old actors I like. I still love watching CARY movies. The way his subtle kind of humor that he had in some of his movies is great. Tom Hanks is my favorite actor. I just love watching him from I think he's a great actor. And there's so many. Robert De Niro, from his older films till even, I mean, he's the kind of guy who's done A Raging Bull, A Taxi Driver, and Meet the Parents. So the range is kind of tremendous from comedy, and so many movies of his I like. So Western films I still love. In fact, one of my favorite movies is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Clint Eastwood. That I remember once I was on holiday and I had 18 days off from school, and me and my friend used to watch it at lunchtime and at dinner time for 18 days. So I saw it 36 times in 18 days. And I remember, I was a kid, and I remember the background theme. Like, I would say a line, the actor speaking the line on the TV and I'm speaking it, and my friend's doing the background score. So it was, I mean, that's one of my favorite movies. So Westerns have their own charm. So, in fact, one film which was pretty much inspired by the style of Westerns, which I think is my favorite Hindi film, is Sholay. Because it had that style, which they brought that style of Western into a Indian rural setting. And it's the biggest hit I think ever made. It's the biggest film ever made in India, I think. That was released in '75, if I'm not mistaken. That's another film I recommend people to watch. It's fantastic. There's a lot of professionalism coming. Like earlier, one would hear about the film industry as in never starting on time. A script would never be given to an actor. I mean, you would be given your scene for the day or for the next day, but not the entire. You'd be told the story before you start, but not be given an entire script. People would not start on time. There would be films would take like 2 years to complete. But now I think everything's changing. There's a whole younger generation coming that is seen how the industry in the West operates, have learned from them, and it's just getting fantastic to work. I mean, the work ethic has become so good, professionalism has increased, people are aware of different techniques of filmmaking now, which is great. So I think, I mean, budget-wise, I don't think India is still up there with the West, as in the amount of money they can spend for a film, but technically, talent-wise, I think they're pretty much on par with any side of the world, I think. That's really great to watch, and it's only going to go further by leaps and bounds. There are a lot of films made in, there's so many languages in India, and each language has its own kind of film industry in India. So there are lots of movies made apart from the Hindi films. which are Indian films, especially in the south, in Bengal. I myself did a film in the south, a very mainstream film, but that was also a very good experience for me, as in to see it in your own country, to see a different style of working, and they are very professional as well. In fact, probably a bit more so. I would go so far as to say than the Hindi film industry. But it was a great experience, and I have watched a few movies in other languages other than Hindi, which I've enjoyed watching. So I think there's a lot of great work being done all over India. I would love to be in this place because, as I said, I've been somehow associated with it in front of the camera since I was 2. So I'd like to be associated either in front of, behind, some way connected with the creative side of movies, hopefully acting some more as well. So I feel really lucky to be a part of the film industry, still am, and hope to be, as I said, if wanted in the future as well, till I'm not thrown out. So it's a great place to be, I think.